Hello, hello, Razzball Nation. It's Nick. It is Thursday, May 15th, and welcome to Razzball Radio. On today's show, we got a good one for you. We have our Pacific Northwest pacifist, Mr. Sky, will be joining us. Hopefully this will actually work today. We've upgraded his technology, and then also we're going to play a little jam or cram with the guru himself. That's right. Plus, he used to be a radio DJ, and apparently he might bust out some of his old radio stories. So a good show set up for you today. So without further ado, here he is, the lovely, the talented Mr. Sky. What's up, Sky? How you doing, buddy?
Not much. Ta-da! You can actually see me now.
You don't have a face. You don't have a face for radio. You're a handsome guy. Although that little mask you have on the wall, I'm not gonna lie, it's creeping me out a little bit.
It's from South Korea. It's a long story. But yeah, we actually have a few of those around the house now. I think we've got about 10. So don't worry, you're not the only one. We freak out everyone that comes over.
Yeah, well, it's because you're from Oregon. You guys just freak out people in general. I mean, it's part of your MO up there.
Wait. Oregon?
Oregon?
Oregon. There you go. All right,
Whatever.
We're going to get this right. I'm going to be on here a few more times.
Eventually. So, hey, why don't you have a swig of coffee? Take your time. No. Go ahead. Take your time.
Yeah. I'm going to gargle while I'm at it, too.
You good now? You know what? I really appreciate you got a haircut for us. You know, you trim back your eyebrows. You're looking sexy, buddy. You're all. You know what? I might say you're the second best looking guy on this show after T-Hole.
Oh, wow. Well, where does that put you?
Oh, buddy, are you kidding? I'm old now, man. My looks have deteriorated. Hey, so Sky.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. We do genuinely appreciate it because I know it's early up in Oregon. Did I say it right that time? Oh, see, he's paused. He's paused himself. All right, not that we're having technical... Hey, are you back? He's still paused. Oh, there he is. He moved. Hey, Sky.
I am back. That was weird.
Did you just like jump to another dimension and come back?
Apparently, I just waved my hand in the way of the Wi-Fi beams and just completely obliterated everything.
You know what? I think it's that South Korean mask, man. I think there's some voodoo going on with that stuff. Okay, so Sky, what we're gonna do when we chat with you, other than poke fun at your home state, and I'm just kidding. Apparently, Oregon's really cool. Actually, when Guru came on for the first time last week, he said, "Nick, what are you doing in Phoenix?" We pegged you as kind of like an Austin or Portland type guy. So I don't know. Maybe I should have moved to Portland instead, except for all the rain.
Yeah, well, the rain ain't pretty, but all the microbrews are.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you want to hear something funny before we get to John? This is for you. We'll get to fantasy baseball soon, okay? So my best buddy has to take a couple months off drinking. He can't have a drop of alcohol for a couple months. So in support and solidarity with him, I might attempt to take a couple months and not have a sip of liquor. Could you imagine that?
Yeah, okay, I understand solidarity, but there's just certain levels you can't go to with friends, and that's one of them. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going to lead you to drink just from this alone. So don't get yourself short on that. You got to keep that rolling.
Friends don't let friends not drink.
It's totally, especially in Oregon. Like I said, I mean, I can't walk a block. They say Seattle, it's every block is a particular coffee joint that does not support us, so we can't talk about them. Every block in Eugene here has its own microbrewer. I'm only half joking with that. I swear,
really?
We're just in it. Yeah.
All right, good stuff.
Fun when you come and see us.
Plus, you got the Ducks up there with their like $250 million facilities.
Oh, Uncle Phil, he treats us well. What can I say?
All right, let's talk a little fantasy baseball. So when you will join us, obviously you do a lot of daily fantasy writing for the site, correct?
That is correct.
When are your posts up on razzball.com, Sky?
For me, I'm live on Fridays, 9:45 Pacific time, and
That's
but we also
12:45 for the East Coast bias.
There you go. But we also have a whole crew that's writing Monday through Sunday on the topic. So you go ahead and hit up the Razzball site. We're always giving our picks for the day, trying to point out some deals, and we're doing a lot of research on batter versus pitcher, the weather. We're trying to cover up the whole gamut for you when you come on by. So definitely take a look.
Yeah. I guess that's why there's no Major League Baseball team in Eugene because of the weather. Um, Also, too, if you tune into the hot sheet, which is posted daily by noon every day, that'll also have all the advantages that we see in our numbers versus DraftKings numbers. So, and we are actually going to start, Sky. I hope you don't have plans tonight, buddy, because you're playing some DraftKings with us tonight. Tonight, we're going to do our very first play with the Razzball Radio crew. It's going to be a Monday to Friday nightly event. So, tell the wife you're busy tonight.
All right, will do.
You're playing DraftKings. So I will
yeah.
tweet out that URL, the actual game warrant. It's a 50-50 game. It's a couple bucks to get into, but that way you can come and take our money and spend your winnings on microbrews.
Yeah, run with it. Yeah, I'm here to give away. Trust me, that's what it felt like the last week here. So I've had a major cold streak.
All right, good stuff. But today what we're going to talk about is some deep league strategies. Because Sky is very versatile. You are way more than a daily fantasy guy. In fact, you might be one of the best baseball brains we have, not named Gray or Rudy. So,
hey, I appreciate that.
I'm just throwing around compliments.
I was about to say I can't wait till you talk to Mr. Guru there, and you say the exact same thing to him, knowing that I'm not going to listen or watch for it.
Guru like jam, cram. He's an old rock star, man.
Yeah.
Although, you know what's funny too? John, we'll get to fantasy baseball. It's going to be a recurring joke here. Our commentator, John. Guru is not what I expected. I was expecting like a 55-year-old, receding hairline, slightly plump,
Yeah.
He looked like he's ridden a few motorcycles in his lifetime.
I think he posted one picture of himself on Twitter, and it surprised me too. I think he was dressed up as the Crow, like Brandon Lee style, the Crow, and I was like, wow, I was not expecting that, but that is awesome.
All right, guys. So let's talk guys that you might typically grab and keep in deeper leagues. So let's kind of keep this segment right now. We're going to talk only, let's say, 14-team plus leagues, okay, with 5 outfielders. Yeah. We set that as a standard for deeper league talk.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. I'm glad. I love when you agree with me. That's fantastic. So let's talk about one guy right off the bat here. Let's talk about Brandon McCarthy. Had a great start yesterday. I mean, the D-backs have been a disaster. So, and wins are hard to predict, but man, they are not winning. They are barely above the Astros in my personal power rankings. But talk to me about Brandon McCarthy, not just because he's a great pitcher, but dude loves fantasy baseball, man. I mean, that's going to be my mission, is to get Brandon McCarthy on the show this year, because I'm in Phoenix. I'm going to stalk him at Chase Field and drag him out to talk a little fantasy with us.
Well, while you're at it, make sure and get Amanda McCarthy on while you're at it. That's a total wag, dude. She's oh my gosh. Yeah, you go to I follow him on Twitter, and I don't normally follow a bunch of players, but one, the guy's hilarious, and two, then he started posting pictures of his wife, and then I had to follow her too, because damn, dude, he for tall, gangly guys, he set the bar pretty high. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google that. By the way, a wag, just in case you don't know, it's nothing dirty. It's a wife and girlfriend. It's a term I think that the soccer aficionados across the pond coined a couple of years ago, with all the wife and girlfriend hotties when the World Cup converges.
It did?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I'm American. I can't recognize that. I assumed that was an American term. So sorry. I'm sorry for using it at all. I will never measure anything in the metric system. It just won't happen. Anyway.
Back to Brandon.
Yeah. Back to Brandon. Some great stats. I'm gonna flip over here really quick to some information. So.
Oh, I'm glad you set up your browser in preparation of this.
Yes. Yeah. So what I have is if you parse out his numbers for the year, right now he's on pace for 196K over 207 innings. And to put that number in perspective, that's last year James Shields over 228 innings K'd the same amount, and that put him as the 16th best in terms of Ks for the year amongst pitchers. So it's very weird to see a guy with those kind of numbers on your waiver at, I want to say, 6% in Yahoo leagues and 2% in ESPN leagues. But then the problem is all the surface level stats are ridiculously bad right now. when I was initially looking at this, it was prior to last night's game, which was, like you said, dominant. I mean, 8 innings, 7K, no walks, only 3 hits, and one of them being a home run that was a solo shot. So, he doesn't walk anybody, but he had an ERA close to about 5.6 coming into last night, a WHIP close to 3.5. And so I can see why people weren't rostering him. But if you dig below those stats, you started realizing coming into last night, 7th worst home run per 9 rate at 1.51, which was supported by the 2nd worst home run to fly ball rate, which is 21.6%. For anyone who's not a stat guy out there, the average is going to be around 10%. So he's literally doubling the major league average right now in home run to fly ball rate. And for a guy that has a ground ball rate near 50%, that's even more absurd. The underlying stats on him just scream that he's a buy right now, and he should be picked up and held on to in the bigger leagues, and even possibly down the road, in the smaller leagues where injuries just seem to be racking up. I see you, Jose Fernandez. You've got, but like I said, all the other stats just tell you that he's a solid pitcher. His K rate is near 8.5. His walk rate is under 2 per 9. These are kind of stats that.
All right, Scott. I'm going to cut you off because I mean you're espousing numbers here, and they're awesome. And there are a few things that get me as turned on as numbers, but that's a lot of them. So basically, the key things here is he's wicked. And he's ridiculously under-owned. So he's a guy you got to go get.
Definitely, yeah. You gotta jump on the BMAC and also follow him and his wife on Twitter.
Jump on the BMAC. Hey, also too, just so you know, Razzballers, while Sky has another swig of coffee here, what we're doing is we've been using Skype for our guests to come in and join us, but we are in the process of working on getting a better software for the screen, because now look at this, we got Sky on a high definition camera. He looks sexy, but occasionally he's kind of auto-tuned, so we are working on that. That is a high priority, so we can get the best possible quality of show out to you people, because we love you. All right, Sky, listen, you and I haven't talked about him previously, but one guy that I wanted to bring up because obviously he was a top prospect. Pitches in a good ballpark. You have no idea who I'm going to drop on you here, but he's had 2 really good starts in a row, and he is striking guys out, and that's Jake Odorizzi of Tampa Bay. Another good start yesterday. Streaminator loved him, and it proved correct. What are your thoughts on Mr. The other Odor?
Yeah, I was about to say the other Odor. I have a problem with guys who have major walk rates, and so far he's just, the last 2 starts have been dominant, and he may be turning the corner, but I'm still, unless I'm really desperate, I'm sitting on the sidelines with him. It's just the
even
walk
in deeper leagues.
Well, like I said, if you're desperate, like I'll take a BMAC over him right now. I understand it's a deep league, and in a deep league, you could almost theoretically pick up anyone and say it's a good call. He's definitely a great gamble if you need it, but those walk rates, they'll fly when you're pitching against a team like Seattle, but you start pitching against teams like the Yankees and Baltimore, where he's going to be making his bread and butter for most of the year. You're gonna see a lot more struggles, a lot more 4K 3-walk types of games rather than the dominant starts he's been putting up here recently.
Okay, so throw out a couple more names to me, deep league guys that are under-owned. You don't have to necessarily break them down, but we got a couple more minutes here, so shoot some names at me. Shoot from the hip.
I have one more, which it kind of surprised me to find him this morning. I really wrote up a love piece to Brandon McCarthy this morning.
Yes, we can. Well, actually, more to his wife.
But Lonnie Chisenhall, which is very weird to see, given if you're dealing with it, even in deeper leagues. He's going to sit against lefties, but he's a third baseman who's hitting 361 right now.
Yep.
For Cleveland, and he's going to face most righties as the DH for Cleveland. And he's also one of those guys that, as the season progresses, maybe he kind of figures it out, quote unquote, a la Brandon Belt. You know, he is a former top prospect for the Indians who came out and really struggled and, you know, seems to be kind of finding himself for this team. And I could see him having one of those after the All-Star break kind of breakthrough halves where people will be talking about him next year. And right now he can be owned for, you know, dropping whatever. I mean, at 2% in Yahoo and 0.2% in ESPN, it's kind of insane for a guy hitting over 300.
No, he's definitely a platoony tune. There's no question about that.
Yeah. But at the very, like I said, the big thing is that he's on the right side of the platoon. He's not going to get lefties, but he'll get righties. And in a 14 team or, you know, deep where you have to play two or three, you know, rostering two or three third baseman is smart. You roll with that. You pick that up.
Okay. So just a couple things for next time you do join us, Sky. Let's close the closet so I don't have to see your Klingon costume in the back. I mean, what you do in your own home is your business. I'm cool with it, man. I know you guys are real liberal up in Eugene, but and also, sorry?
Mi casa, su casa. That's how I roll.
And take the mask down, man. I'm not lying. You're freaking me out. Hey, did you? We had a little chat with Gray last week about the Playboy Mansion. Apparently, you were passed out in a national fast food chain's washroom, and you locked the door and passed out. And Gray had to get a manager. Is that true? And B, if so, what is your defense?
To be fair to me, I was passed out, so I don't know where I was. So I can't really answer this question truthfully. So Gray could tell me I was anywhere. He could have told me I passed out in a strip club. I would have believed him. I have no idea where I was at. But
you say that like it's a regular occurrence.
I let it roll off. If it happens, it happens. You just got to let the night take you where it's going to take you. But for a man to talk about another man's drinking of free booze and passing out and kindly forgetting his own that happened at the Playboy Mansion and almost getting his own butt kicked out is kind of a weird thing to do. I don't know how long it took him to get to where he was at. It didn't take that long, though. I think he was drinking thimbles. The dude cannot hold his liquor. I'm not kidding you. I think within an hour, I started seeing weird pics of Gray. Have you seen any where he's making that weird face? That's not him posing for the camera. That's him trying to stand up straight. He was faded the entire time he was Playboy Man.
You know what? If you took Gray and you took Sky and you kind of mashed them together like with Play-Doh, you might still not outweigh me. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had his own throw party at the Playboy Mansion. Let's just put it that way.
All right. Listen. Also, just so this is all established here, next time there is a event at the Playboy Mansion and I'm not invited, there's going to be issues. Okay?
Yeah. Like technical difficulties. Like I can't seem to log on to Skype and talk to you.
I was more technical difficulties with my fist. I keyed. Okay, listen, Sky, thanks very much for joining us. So here are the key takeaways. If you're in deeper leagues, go get Brandon McCarthy. Sky is not sold yet on Odorizzi, and you also, Lonnie Chisenhall, he's a platoony tune, but look, he's hitting 361, and Sky likes him. And Sky, other than when you were ready for football and picking Doug Martin as your number one running back last year, you're pretty spot on. So I'll give you that.
Do that. You just had to go there.
It
hurts, Nick.
Sky, get out of here. Thanks for joining us today, and we will be right back after this brief message. There isn't a message. And we're going to play Jam or Cram with the guru himself. So get your turbines ready. All right. Thanks again, Sky. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All right. We're back, and now we're going to jam it or cram it with the Razzball's very own guru. Load him up here. Hey, guru, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Nick. How's it going, man? Good to be on the show again.
Hey, good to have you back. So
I'm also loving the hot sheet. I got to tell you that. That's good stuff, man.
Thanks, buddy. You know what? So you asked about the music bed. So what we did was I had Symphony of Nine, the Razzball House Band, of course. They rejigged some of the music. So on today's one, on Thursday's hot sheet, we had a proper music bed appropriate for that. But it's the first week also too we're rolling it out. And, you know, even last week when we started with the videos, stuff was new. Hopefully by end of next week, fingers crossed, we're going to be on the Fantasy Sports Network. And then wait till you see how this looks. If you think this is cool now, we are going up like 17 levels. So it's a really good time to be watching Razzball Radio, you OGs, or ORers.
You rock, man.
All right, so hey, another thing too, Guru, because and we're gonna get to Jam It or Cram in just a second, but
Yeah.
we've had a lot of I've had a lot of conversations with people because a lot of guys have been DMing me, or of course you can tweet me at Nick Capozzi, NickCapozzi, and saying, hey, the Guru, man, this guy looks like a rock and roller. We were expecting like a 55-year-old, balding kind of guy, but you actually used to work in rock radio, right?
Yeah, I worked in rock radio for nearly 20 years, and it's certainly a interesting time. I started when I was about 17, and I was working at this radio station in Maine, owned by a famous Maine author. I won't say his name, but he's kind of royalty, if you catch my drift.
Come on, are you serious?
Oh yeah.
So how come he was owning a rock station in Maine?
Basically, he just wanted a big jukebox so he could, jam AC/DC all day long.
That's awesome. So did you have any brushes with fame when you were working there?
Oh, yeah, we had a number of brushes with fame. We need, like, a cool echo on that. Brush with fame. But I've met everybody from AC/DC to ZZ Top. But I think one of my favorite moments was getting to meet the guys from Aerosmith. They're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, Boston boys.
Yeah, we hit up the show. It was Aerosmith. Guns N' Roses were the opening act. We had the limo, the front row seats, the backstage passes, all that stuff, and they were all really cool guys. Steven Tyler was painting his nails. Joe Perry, kind of a dick, but cool. And so we're backstage, and we go through the line, we meet the guys, we get stuff signed, and I noticed this tall smoke show by herself, kind of in the back of the room, and I go over there and I chat her up, and I'm telling her, I'm a radio guy, and we got the limo and the suite at the hotel. Why don't you come and party with us? And we're getting kind of cozy there, and things, I thought things were going pretty well. All of a sudden, this big Samoan dude grabs a hold of me by the back of the neck and just, tosses me out of the backstage area like I'm some sort of, ragdoll, Aerosmith reference.
There you go.
And I had no clue what was going on until the next day, and I get this call from the record company weasel, who's, concerned and asking me all these questions. What went down backstage at the Aerosmith show? Well, it turns out that the Hot Smoke show was Liv Tyler. And she was 15 at the time. My bad.
That's awesome, man. So what were you guys spinning? AC/DC, obviously, that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah, we did AC/DC, Metallica at the beginning, Aerosmith, hardcore rock and roll.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I actually love AC/DC. Actually, quick Boston story, and then we'll get to fantasy. So I grew up in Montreal, and we used to go down and do hockey tournaments in Boston all the time, in Somerville, Mass.
Oh yeah, and, beautiful place.
Yeah, Slummaville. And long story short, I was 13 years old, and I get there to my billet's house, and the first thing he shows me is the Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction. I was 13. It was my first introduction to it, and my life changed from that point on. That was because growing up in Montreal, it was interesting because hip hop was just starting to emerge, and either you were into like hip hop or Metallica. Once the kind of Seattle sound, the grunge stuff came out, then it was kind of a bit of a merge. But yeah, man, that Appetite for Destruction, when I still hear the songs off that album, I still get a chill. Actually, I was driving into work today. I heard Sweet Child of Mine on the radio, so that was good times.
That stuff stands up, man.
Absolutely, brother. So listen, without further ado, you know what? One thing I want to say too, Guru, because listen, you bless us on a regular basis on Razzball.com. How often are you on with us doing your Jam or Cram?
I do Jam and Crams every Sunday afternoon. I'm there. I'll hit me up with questions, whatever. And I do a little DraftKings piece on Wednesday.
Okay, cool. Now, obviously, too, Guru is really good on Twitter. So if you ever have any questions, whether it's on daily fantasy or regular fantasy, you can always reach him at the Guru GS. And also, too, I just want to plug your own website. It's thedirtyturban.wordpress.com. And that's kind of a mix of sports / pop culture, but definitely with an edge. And I'll be honest, man, it's a really good website. I go there quite a bit. You got really good stuff. I won't go too much into it because
thanks, man.
We are a family show. But I did catch your MILF of the day the other day. So definitely worth a check out at dirtyturban.wordpress.com.
Thanks.
Hey, my pleasure. All right, so let's play Jam It or Cram It. You do it. You do the better cheesy radio than I do. You intro it.
Jam it or grab it. Let's do it.
All right, let's spin the 45s. Here we go. First guy up today, John Jaso. Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. John Jaso. Talk to me about him and whether you're going to jam him or cram him.
Okay, outside of the Sagnoff questions that I think I get more Twitter questions related to catcher than any other position, in baseball. So there's a couple of guys that I'm looking for, and they both play in Oakland, which can make it kind of tough on your roster. I'm not one to usually, roster two catchers, but I might in this case because Melvin's been doing a good job of getting them both into the lineup.
Right.
So if you've lost Wieters or you owned AJ Przzucki or Jared Sucky-Lamacchia, I'm looking toward John Jaso. I mean, he's owned only about less than 5%, I think, across leagues, and he's hitting .550 with a couple of homers, 4 RBI, 6 runs over the last week. He's a guy you definitely want to get in the lineup, and he hits at the top of the order too when he's in there, so he's definitely worth a look. Or you could take a look at his teammate Derek Norris,
yep,
who's really been on fire. I think his ownership is up to around 50% now. He's hitting .455 with he's got 4 bombs and 20 RBI on the season. So when it comes to catcher and Derek Norris and John Jaso, it's a jam.
Jam. Love it. Next up on our list, let's talk power bats. Juan Francisco. I don't know that he's really a power bat, but he's been playing real well.
Well, when you look at old Juan Francisco on the surface, you might not think of him as a power bat. But I know as a Jays fan, Nick, maybe you're familiar with old Juan Francisco.
Yeah, he's had a great start so far this year.
Yeah, he has. He's a Platoony Tune poster boy. I mean, he only hits versus right-handers. But I left my heart in Juan Francisco as many homers as Chris Davis, Robinson Cano, and Prince Fielder combined right now. The power is legit. His home run to fly ball rate it's over 20%. He's hitting nearly 300. He has 6 dongs and 16 RBI and just 75 at-bats this year. The big problem is, besides he's a Platoony Tune, he just can't hit lefties. I mean, Nick, you hit lefties better than old Juan.
Yeah, debatable.
His career average versus lefties is 175, so I think you might be there, man. So while the power, is legit, he might be one to put in the April Hall of Fame. I mean, there's a reason he's been on 4 teams in 4 years, and he's not on mine. It's a cram.
All right, fair enough. Let's go up the middle. I actually had a question today on the Razzball Radio website.
Sure.
Do I keep Jerko or, and I'm going to butcher his name, but Yaniervis Solarte?
Yeah, Solarte, or as I like to call him, Anger Vice Solarte. He's a guy to take a serious look at in Jam or Cram in the middle infield. Especially, I love the multi-positional eligibility. You
Yep.
can plug him in at second, third, short. He's currently 4th in the league in hitting. Surprising. He's hitting .336. And over his last 7 games, he's hitting .500 with 6 runs, 2 homers, 8 RBI, and he's still just 50% owned. So while I'm not ready to give up on a man named Jed, Solarte is a guy that it makes for a great bench bat that you can plug in if you got someone sitting that week or whatever. I mean, there's more people that own Kyle Seager, Xander Bogaerts, and Jonathan VR, and they're all hitting under 250. So I'm buying on Solarte, and he's a jam.
All right, good stuff. Give me a Sagnoff special. Let's talk about Alcides Escobar.
I really like Escobar. I mean, He's the shortstop in Kansas City. He's under 50% owned. He's got 11 steals on the year, so he's definitely a Sagnoff poster boy. He's got one less steal than Billy Hamilton, who's owned everywhere. So, the steals are great, but, you couple that with the 18 runs, the 2 homers, and 15 RBI, and I know this guy totally bombed last year, but J.J. Hardy is bombing right now.
Right.
So why not pick up Escobar? He's hitting nearly he hit nearly 300 and had 35 steals just a couple of seasons ago. If he could hit, 280, maybe give you 40 steals, he's definitely my Sagnoff jam.
All right, good stuff. Guy I really like, Drew Pomeranz, a.k.a. Drew Pomegranate. He was a first-round pick of the Rockies last year, or a couple years ago, excuse me. He's got a big hammer curve. Started off in the bullpen. I liked him going into the season just because if he could crack the rotation. Gray didn't really agree with me. Had a great start last night against or 2 nights ago. I don't know, losing track of days here, but really good start. Listen, big curveball pitching in Oakland. I like him. What do you think?
I like the Pomegranate too. That curveball is nice, and it's great that he's out of Colorado. Oakland is the perfect place for him. And if you're looking for a pitcher, you definitely have to look at Pomerantz. I think the biggest pitching name that has been mentioned so far this season is Tommy John. 19 pitchers have had Tommy John surgery already this year. There were 19 players all of last year that left with Tommy John, and with Jose Fernandez, the latest to go down. That one really hurt. There's a number of MLB talking heads discussing how to fix this, and there's discussion about lowering the mound. That's not going to happen. I think the real problem is the disconnect between MLB and baseball at the college and high school level. So we're not going to solve any problems here, but a guy that I'm really high on is Pomerantz. He struck out 8 and grabbed another win a couple nights ago. He's 3-1 on the year. The ERA is 1.14. The WHIP is right around 1. The K rate is 24.8, K to walk rate. He's definitely worth scooping up. And he's going to get the Rays in his next start, who are kind of middle of the road in hitting. It'll be in Tampa, but I like his chances. Now watch him blow out his UCL. But until then, he's a jam.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really like Pomerantz. He's one of those kind of post-hype sleepers. Colorado tried to bring him up way too early, but going from, Denver to Oakland, stadium-wise is... it's like moving from Toronto to Phoenix weather-wise. Just saying. Or Maine. Listen, a couple quick things before we go, Guru.
Yeah.
So tonight, buddy, we're doing the first 50-50 game, play with the Razzball Radio crew. The link is in today's hot sheet, so hopefully you can join us there. I think
I will be there.
Sky's also going to be there, so you can take his money, take my money, take Smokey's money, and it's just $1 to get in tonight. Enter promo code Razzball, and of course they'll match your first-time deposit plus give you a ticket into one of those 50-50 games. We're going to be playing that Monday to Friday with the radio crew.
Awesome.
Real quick, man, I got a minute here for you. Give me a couple of strategies that you use when filling out a daily fantasy roster.
Well, I play a lot of daily fantasy. If people aren't familiar with daily fantasy, hit up DraftKings. There are games you can play for free until you get the hang of it. There's basically 2 different kinds of games. There are cash games, 50-50s, double-ups, and head-to-head. Those are cash games. And there's GPPs, which are guaranteed prize pools. And I use a couple of different strategies depending on what I'm playing in. If I'm in a cash game, I'm not going to take a lot of chances. I'm going to play it safe and look for the sure points.
Right.
You don't have to be first, in a 50-50. I'm just going to be better than you. If I'm playing in a GPP, I'm going to take some risk, and maybe I'm going to take a lot of risk and look for some high upside guys that might score a ton of points that night. But there are 5 things that I look at when I'm building my lineup. I try to pick on the day's worst pitchers in the best hitters' parks. That's one of the first things that I look at. I check the Vegas over-under. I look for the high-scoring games. Vegas, they know what they're doing, so why not use them? Also, I check the lefty-righty splits. If I'm on the fence between two equal bats, I'll choose the bat that has the better numbers against the splits. And finally, something that I look at, and if you want to be a draft king, you've got to embrace the WOBA. And if you're unfamiliar with WOBA, that is weighted on base average, and that is the stat that I look at the most when I'm deciding on hitters. You know, a lot of people look at the pitcher versus batter matchup. Those sample sizes are just way too small. So, you know, WOBA is where I look, the weighted on base average. And, you know, I'm not going to get into the science of the power of the WOBA, but know that it's a stat that can accurately predict a hitter's value on that particular day. And any of the Sharks who play DFS on a daily basis, they love their WOBA, but they don't like to tell you.
Listen to that. You're getting the dirty secrets here from the Dirty Turban himself. All right, let me just real quick. I'll tell you the roster I'm putting in tonight. It'll be under Razzball Radio. Again, that link, we'll put it up in this show, but it's also in today's hot sheet. So I'm starting Ventura and Skaggs. And then I got Gomes at catcher, Encarnacion at first, Solarte at second, Sandoval at third, Avalos at short, or Aviles, Jose Bautista, Nick Swisher, and Michael Bourne.
On the surface, I'm going to say, yeah, it looks pretty good, but I haven't done any.
You haven't WOBA'd it?
I haven't dug into the WOBA yet today.
All right, well, good. Someone can come take my money. All right, listen, Guru, really appreciate you jamming it or cramming it with us. You're rock and roller. So listen, man, we love having you on. We're really excited to have you on as a regular guest. We're going to see how we can get you more involved here on Razzball Radio because the people love you, Guru.
Cool. Cheers, my friend.
I love. What time is it in Maine right now? So we'll see you tonight in the DraftKings 50-50 game, and get out of here, man.
Take it easy. Keep
right,
it
buddy.
dirty, my friends.
We're out of here too. Thanks for watching Razzball Radio. We'll see you tonight.